And with that, brings me to my very special guest today. I am just beyond honored and psyched to welcome CJ Ramone to the show. CJ, it is my pleasure and honor, to meet you and have you as a special guest on my show today. Welcome.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Thank you. And I want to give huge shout out to Howie Schimmel for putting this interview together today. Howie, you rock. Love you, my friend. And also to Matthew Sabowitz from the NYCMetalScene.com for posting today's interview on the website, which is very cool. So CJ, there is a lot going on with you. You have had quite a brilliant and illustrious career thus far, and we're going to get into all of that coming up in a little bit, how you became a member of the legendary punk band, the Ramones. But first, I kind of want to get into some current happenings with you. Coming up next month, you are going to be appearing at the Big Apple Comic-Con. And from what I understand, this is your first appearance at a convention like this?
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because I used to hit a lot of the conventions with Johnny back in the day when we were on the road. Whatever city we were in, Johnny was really big into movie posters and memorabilia. And then, of course, from going to all the shows with him, I kind of got into it too and ended up collecting. I mostly collected like 60s, 70s films that I loved as a kid, and then I started collecting like all the 60s B-movie biker flicks. I'm not like a newbie at the conventions or anything. Just the first time I've ever actually done a public appearance at one.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, and they got a nice write-up on the BigAppleCC.com for you, which is very cool, citing that it is your first appearance at a convention. So yeah, definitely. And this is coming up. Now, will you be there both days or just the one day?
I think I'm there both days.
Awesome. And this is coming up on Saturday and Sunday, April 14th through the 15th. And it will be held, let's see, where are they holding this? Just trying to look at their website here.
To tell you the truth, I don't even know if I have that information yet. My manager hasn't passed it along.
It's funny because when you look at the homepage, they don't cite a location.
Right.
So hopefully you'll we'll figure it out. But that's exciting. There's going to be a lot of it's going to be a lot of fun. I've never attended a convention of that sort. Well, actually, at the end of January, I had the pleasure of attending NAMM, which was an amazing experience. It was my first time.
I was there too. That's funny.
Yeah. Oh, you were? Oh, shoot. Yeah, it was my first ever experience with NAMM, and wow, what an incredible time.
Yeah, it's been overwhelming with everything. There's so much eye candy there. It's hard to make it through the room, but it's pretty neat. I've gone the last couple of years. I go usually support Mosrite guitars and Fender. I use both of their stuff, so that's usually why I'm out there.
Oh, okay. And the Big Apple Comic-Con is going to be at the Penn Plaza Pavilion, which is the Pennsylvania Hotel, 401 7th Avenue in Manhattan.
Nice and easy to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's Saturday, April 14th through the 15th. That's going to be a lot of fun. If I can get down there, I definitely will. Again, I've never been to any of these kind of things, so I've seen a lot of photos when people go, and it always looks like a good time. So I'm sure you're going to have a blast.
It really is. It's cool, especially if you're into the horror films, the sci-fi, and all that stuff. Which, of course, that's what I grew up with. It's fun. A lot of times there's actors and actresses from some of the B movies and stuff, current and the old school ones. There's always somebody cool there to ask for an autograph or something. Plus all the collectibles, memorabilia, and I love it. It's great. It's a good time.
That's awesome. And you also are going to be involved in May, this is coming up Saturday, May 19th at the Bowery Electric, the Joey Ramone Birthday Bash, celebrating the 40th anniversary of the Road to Ruin album.
Yep.
If you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Mickey Lee, Joey's brother, does birthday bash for Joey every year. Usually has a bunch of special guests, and he's really had everybody at this point on the shows. It's usually a lot of fun, and you get Ramones fans from all over the world coming. I mean, Europe and South America, and like I met people from all over the world, UK, and but this year it's a little special. Me, Richie Ramone, Mickey Lee, and Ed Stasium, the producer. Ed produced all of the Ramones' great records, and he also his career is just unbelievable. But we're gonna jump up on stage and we're gonna play the entire Road to Ruin record.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, it should be fun. Should be good. It's kind of a special thing. It's not something that I don't think anyone's really done before. So
no.
Me and Richie actually played together down in South America last year for an anniversary show down there in Argentina. The first time the Ramones ever played. But I think this is the first time stateside. Me and Richie played together one couple of songs in Nashville a few years back, I guess. But me, Joey's brother, Ed Stasium, Richie, it's going to sound really good. I mean, that's four people that intimately know the Ramones sound. So.
Right, absolutely. And all net proceeds are going to benefit the Joey Ramone Foundation for Lymphoma Research, which is great.
That's correct.
Absolutely. And again, it's going to be at the Bowery Electric on Joey Ramone Place in the city. Tickets are $40 in advance and $45 the day of show. That's going to be great. And I guess it's being called the Love Triangle. Is that what you guys are calling this project?
Yeah, even though there's four of us, it's going to be called the Love Triangle. Me and Richie and Mickey played together last year as the Love Triangle, and this year we got Ed joining us.
Excellent. That's very cool. Well, you have a lot going on. The release of American Beauty last year. Great record. You really are keeping the Ramones sound alive with your own personal style and flair. Every track on the album is just a great listen. They get you moving. I mean, right from the get-go, the first track on the album, you're already moving. You're bopping around. If you're not, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, it's like I said, the name of the album's American Beauty. Put it out on Fat Records last March. It's my second album with Fat Records. I did in 2014. I put out Last Chance to Dance with Fat Records, but this one, American Beauty, is definitely, my songwriting has gotten better, a lot better. I mean, every record, I only wrote a couple of songs while I was in the Ramones, and I never really was big on songwriting, but in the years after the Ramones retired, I stopped touring for a while and started a family, and as I started coming back to music a little at a time, that's how I got back into it. I just started writing songs, and so my songwriting has been getting better with each record. This last one was really a good record. The first one I wrote as quickly as I did. I wrote it in 2.5 weeks, and
wow.
That was because between the last record and American Beauty, I had been just like recording little ideas for songs and snippets, writing down lyrics, and so I felt like I was in good shape. And about a month before I was supposed to go into the studio, I started trying to put some songs together with the ideas I had, and I just didn't like anything. So I tried for like 2 weeks, and it didn't work out. And then finally, one night, I just realized, like, holy cow, I got to write an entire record in the next 2.5 weeks. So every night after my kids went to bed, my wife's kids went upstairs, I locked myself in the basement with a pot of coffee and a bottle of Jack Daniels, and just wrote my ass off.
Nice.
And as it turns out, the added, the extra pressure there, I guess, really helped, and I just popped out some really, really good songs. And
No, not at all.
It's it's my style, but it's definitely got a little bit of a Ramone sound to it. But I mean, how could it not? Was a fan for a lot of years before I ever got into the band, and I played with the band for 7 years, and it's tough to deny that inspiration.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a band such as, legendary as as Ramones. There's an article that was posted January 13th in 2017, prior to American Beauty being released on fatrec.com, and they cite you as saying, they quote, "American Beauty is the record I've been working towards since I started putting out records as CJ Ramone. My songwriting has definitely grown up some, but the raw energy is still there. Steve Soto, Dan Root, and Pete Sosa helped me drive every track home in a way that only veterans of the business can do, with engineer, co-producer Paul Miner throwing gas on the fire every step of the way. I don't think I could have made this record any better. 2017 is set to be my busiest year yet, starting with a coast-to-coast U.S.-Canada tour, followed up by an extended trip to Europe in the summer. Fall and winter you're going to be spending in South America, and we are working on a trip to Japan, and fingers crossed, Australia. It's going to be a good year. Hope to see you all on the road." I mean, that's a huge year, CJ. That's, wow.
And we actually squeezed the UK, 2-week trip to the UK in there also.
Wow.
And a one-off down in Panama. Last year that's the most touring I had done since the Ramones retired, and I really did it to support that record. I'm hugely proud of that record. I mean, as you could tell from that statement, it was so sometimes you do a record or you record a song and you step back and you go, wow, that's pretty good, and then there's other ones that you do and you sit down to listen to it after it's all over and the production's done and there's nobody around, it's just you and the engineer, and you listen to it and you just know, like, this is exactly what I wanted to do. This is exactly what I was going for. And that's what happened on American Beauty. It really just came together perfectly.
And you should be proud of it, because it's a great, great album. As I was saying earlier, every track is just spot on. It gets you excited. It's an exciting, energetic album. And like you were saying, you put your own take on things, and it came out just fantastic.
Thanks.
Yeah, and now this is your third solo album, correct?
Right, yeah. First one was Reconquista. Second one was Last Chance to Dance. And the third one was American Beauty.
Excellent, excellent. Well, what I would like to do for all of the listeners, and we have some people hanging out in the chat room that I wanted to give a shout out to. We have George Neal and Vic Grabowski and Ollie and Lori and Ian Black. And we have some anonymous users and everybody else out there listening today. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. And what I would like to do is play a couple of tracks for everybody from American Beauty. And I'm thinking of playing the first track, Let's Go, because that's really just, it gets you right from the get-go. You're like, yeah, this is good. And I'll let you choose the second song for now.
All right.
That we'll play.
You want to hear what I want to hear now, or?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. I'd really like to play Girlfriend in the Graveyard.
Okay.
That one, when I first started writing, I was having a little trouble. I had some writer's block, and like I said before, I'm really into the 60s, 70s B movies and stuff, and I really love the Hammer films. Hammer was a producer-director from England, and he did some great vampire flicks. So there was one called Dracula, AD 72, and there's the most beautiful vampire girl ever, an actress named Caroline Munro. And I popped open my laptop and I watched a couple of minutes of that, and Girlfriend in the Graveyard just popped into my head.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I love a classic horror like that. So much more than a lot of the slasher type films and things.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for classic horror. I got this great collection. I think it was from Amazon. It was 50 classic horror movies, and it was $15. So I thought I can't go wrong. And there was a lot of movies on there that were just whoa,
Yep. Yeah, I would have paid a heck of a lot more than $15 for that.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. The price of it at the time, you know, and they had other collections for different like types of movies, genres, but it was all classic horror. And some were very obscure, you know, some of the titles.
Right.
But they were all, you know, I came across this great movie. I think it was from 1943 or 34. I always get confused, but it's called Maniac. I don't know if you're familiar with the film.
Nope.
Just a very odd horror film dealing into psychosis, and you know, it's the mad scientist type of film where, you know, creating the Frankenstein character. But it's so much more, and it's just an insane movie. It's actually up on YouTube, I believe.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we are going to play these 2 tracks for everybody. And again, we are live today with CJ Ramone. And we're going to play these 2 tracks from American Beauty. The first track you're going to hear is Let's Go. And then we're going to hear Girlfriend in a Graveyard. And we will be back live with CJ, and we're hanging out. Metal Euphoria, SonicAsylumRadio.com.
Kiss the wild and give goodbye.
All right, welcome back to Metal Euphoria on SonicAsylumRadio.com, and we are live today with world-renowned bassist and vocalist CJ Ramone. And I just played a couple of tracks from CJ's latest solo release called American Beauty, and you heard Let's Go and Girlfriend in a Graveyard. Both of those songs just flat out rock, and they get you moving, very energetic. Great, great tracks, CJ.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
They're definitely two of the funner tracks on the record.
And I bet you they're so much fun to play live, too.
Yeah, definitely. We try to keep the set moving and try to keep, all the songs really upbeat and quick and throw one or two slow ones in, give everybody a chance to catch their breath. But the set is, we try to make it as fun as we can.
Excellent. Now, what went into the naming of the album, American Beauty?
The political climate for the last couple of years has been kind of real, things have just been kind of like crazy for a good long time, and I had a very different title and a very different album cover that I was going to use, but there's enough people throwing gas on the fire lately, so I just try to come up with a title that, to just kind of remind people, like, things ain't perfect here, without a doubt. There's a heck of a lot of, I travel the world, I've been everywhere. I could have lived anywhere in the world that I wanted to. I could have moved away at any time, but I haven't found a place that's better than here. I have not found a place I like more than I like the United States, so
I hear you.
That's what was behind the naming of the record. I was just trying to remind everybody, like, hey, if you take a step back and think about it, you really don't have it that bad here. It's really not that bad. We may be on different sides of the fence on a lot of stuff or whatever, but at least we can all pretty much say what we want when we want to, have our own opinions, and live our lives the way we want to, you know what I mean? And that's really the whole thing behind it. I didn't want to get too deep or too political or anything like that. It was just,
right.
Take a breath. Everybody take a breath,
Yeah, take a step back.
We got it pretty good.
Yeah, we do have it good here in America, and it's a beautiful country. And the heart of America, the people are awesome. There's always hope for humanity. And the artwork is very cool, too. Who did the artwork for the album?
It's funny. I was on Instagram and spotted a painting that I really dug by a gal who lives out in Houston, Texas. Her name's Jessica Jill Guerra. And so I contacted her and said, hey, I'd love to buy that painting off you. So we started talking, and I got to look at some more of the stuff, and I said, hey, I found out that her and her husband both work together. They're both artists. So I said, hey, do you think you guys should come up with like an album cover and T-shirt designs and everything? They were like, yeah, sure. So they've been doing my artwork ever since. But they're both working artists, and they really put a lot of time and effort and energy into it. And I love the final product. So it was, even the album cover came about in a cool way.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's very eye-catching. Because, as you know, one of the joys about picking up an album is the album art and the cover, So it is. It's very eye-catching. I really like it. And I wanted to, Ian.
That was the thing I disliked the most about CDs was artwork no longer mattered. But now that people are into vinyl again, you could do cool album covers,
Yes, absolutely. With, vinyl has definitely made a comeback. And I'm very happy about that, because that was one of our joys growing up, going to the record store and getting that album, taking it home and taking out the inner sleeve and looking at the artwork and what's going on. Maybe they put a booklet in there and a poster. You got all this cool stuff, that kind of just, some CDs, some bands, you do get some stuff, but it's not the same. Absolutely.
But it also felt like something more substantial when you bought an album. Like, it wasn't just the record and the music. You got all that artwork with it, and it was like, like a double record with, that folded out.
Yes.
It's like, wow. It really felt like something substantial. It wasn't just like, a bunch of information on a disc, which is kind of what, now it's not even a disc. Now it's just downloads. But,
yeah, true.
Yeah, albums, albums will always be my favorite for listening. I think they sound better in general.
I think so too. And is American Beauty out on vinyl, or if not, are there any plans to have that released?
Yep, it is. It's all available at through Fat Records. I think it's fatrec.com. Fatrecords.com.
Fatrec.com. Awesome. Very, very cool. Well, it definitely is a great, album. Ian Black hanging out in the chat room here. He says definitely Ramone's vibe in these tracks. Great stuff. People are digging it. And, we're definitely going to be playing some more tracks as we go through the interview today, for sure, from this album. And now, do you have any upcoming shows in the works right now, CJ?
I'm actually going to be I'm going to be playing bass for Me First and the Gimme Gimmes for a couple of shows this year.
Oh, nice.
Jay Bentley and from Bad Religion and Fat Mike from NoFX are the usual guys, but when they can't do it, I'll be doing it this year. I'll also be we're going to be down over in Europe in September, October. With a special show at the Ramones Museum, Berlin, on October 8th.
Oh, wow.
We're going to Cuba. I've been invited back to Cuba for the second time. I was invited over the first time in September of 2015. I'll be back there this November for a couple of shows. And there'll be a screening of the documentary that I made on my first trip over there. We don't have anything planned in the States yet, but we'll definitely be announcing some dates later on this year.
Excellent. So you have another exciting year coming up, to follow suit from last year.
I'm actually going to be relocating to the West Coast.
Are you?
So I have to kind of make sure I allow myself enough time to get myself and my family out there.
Wow. Were you heading out to like the LA area or?
Northern California.
Okay. All right. Very cool. That's a huge move.
Yeah. My wife is from there, so.
Oh, is she? Okay. All right. And of course, we all know you were born and raised here in New York.
Yep.
So, wow, big difference.
Yeah. Yep.
But I think it'll be great. I love California. It's one of those states where you can get all the different kinds of weather, all in one state.
Yeah, yep. It's definitely going to be an adjustment for me, but I've spent so much time on the West Coast over the years that it won't be as bad as if as if one of my buddies who never even been off of Long Island moved out there. But I'm kind of looking forward to it. It's going to be a nice change. My kids are all excited about it, so it'll be fun. The truth of the matter is I've been thinking about leaving Long Island for a while. The cost of living's gotten kind of out of control, and not that it's much better out there in Northern California, but I've been really considering getting off the island for a while. So it's it's not bad. It's be a good little reset for me.
Exactly, and you're out in Suffolk County, which, the closer you get to the Hamptons.
Yeah, yep. Well, originally I lived in Jamaica, Queens when I was a kid, but we moved out to Long Island to Deer Park in 72, 73 maybe. Probably sometime around there. Lived in Huntington Station for a short while and then moved out to Deer Park. And Deer Park is pretty much where I grew up, went to school, graduated from Deer Park High.
Very cool. And you know, we were talking off the air. If I can bring this up live on the air, what we were talking about in regard to high school and Deer Park. You know, you and I are the same age, within like 2 months, and
Okay.
I had a feeling that you knew a mutual friend, a friend of mine. She is a Palfanu little sister of mine, Dominique. And sure enough, you knew her. You went to high school with her, and I think that's awesome. You know.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wanted to share that with the listeners. You know, it's a small world sometimes, and you just never know.
Yeah. You know, the music scene on Long Island too back in the day was booming.
Huge.
Like, especially out here in Suffolk County. Like we had like a ton of clubs to play. So there's so many people like over the years that I've met, like, you know, through the music scene here on the island, and it's just funny. When I was younger, I used to go see like the Good Rats.
Oh yeah,
I used to go see the Good Rats all the time. They had a bass player for a while. His name was Skylar. And he was. I always thought he was one of the greatest bass players I ever seen play in a club. You know, and I was in like Austria. You know, fast forward like 1991. I was in like Austria or something like that, or Vienna, something. I forget where it was. And I get into an elevator, and the guy walks in behind me, and it's Skylar. And I was like, did you used to play bass for the Good Rats? And he was like, yeah. I was like, oh my God. Listen, I was like, I went to see, I used to go see you at the Quarterdeck Pub. I used to see you all the time. And it was just so bizarre. And I was like, what are you doing out here? And he was playing bass for Earth, Wind, and Fire, I think it was.
Oh wow. Okay.
And we just started shooting the breeze about, you know, the music scene on Long Island back in the day, and, you know, running into people on the road and everything. But it's really funny. It really is like, Long Island is a small, it's a big island, but it's a small place. Like,
It is.
I run into people from Long Island everywhere I go. It's bizarre. But yeah, you know, and, you know, the Kiss Dominique is just, it just goes to the show, you know. It's a very small business, very small world.
It is. You know, well, I grew up in Westchester County, and when I was in high school, you know, Long Island was just very far away. You know, the few times maybe we would go to Jones Beach during the summer, but it always seemed like, you know, it was just very far away. So I really wasn't familiar with Long Island people till I went to SUNY New Paltz for college.
Right.
You know, and I met a bunch of people from Long Island. And so I've really only been to a couple of Long Island clubs. I went to Spit and the Sundance.
Yeah, it was a big one.
Yeah. You know, and those were great, you know.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah, the
didn't, you
music
know.
scene out here was incredible. You could go out any night of the week and see a really good band. There was so many really good bands, and you know, a lot of cover bands, but a lot of what do you call it, bands playing their own material too. But it was a good place to come up as a musician. There was opportunities to play, there were places to play, there were bands looking for people. So.
Right, absolutely. And what I kind of want to get into now, and that kind of leads me into this, is, you know, back in your early days, you were up and coming and with a band, Guitar Pete's Axe Attack, prior to joining the Ramones. And I kind of want to get into how that came to be and leading up to you auditioning and becoming one of the newest members of the Ramone, replacing Dee Dee.
Right. Yeah, that's I was a total metalhead as a kid. You know, the first music that I listened to on my own without my parents influencing me at all. Like when I was younger, I listened to, you know, a lot of country music. I listened to all the 50s stuff and the classic rock stuff. All stuff my mom and dad turned me on to. You know, Creedence Clearwater Revival and just like all that type much everything was Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath will always be my favorite band. I am die-hard Sabbath fan, and all the different lineups and everything. I just love Sabbath. Keith Butler is probably the guy that made me want to play bass. So I ended up playing bass because I had some friends that had a band. They didn't have a bass player. So.
Oh, okay. Black Sabbath, yes.
I was actually going back a little farther. I used to play soccer when I was a kid, and that was my thing. I was into soccer. So the summer between 8th and 9th grade, I had like a 6-inch growth spurt, and it tore up all the connective tissue in my knees, and I had to wear knee braces, so I couldn't play sports anymore.
Oh man.
So I was sitting around. My dad was like, "You can't sit around and do nothing." He's like, "You got to come up with something." So I used to go and sit in at my friends' practices, listen to them play and everything. So I said to my dad, I said, "Give me a bass." So my dad brought home this, Carlo Rebelli imitation P bass, and I taught myself to play. Never took any lessons.
Wow, I was going to ask you if you were self-taught or formally trained.
I started out playing anything I could possibly handle, Sabbath everything. Sabbath to Billy Joel to the Beatles to Led Zeppelin, anything that I could handle. And eventually I got into another band with some friends of mine, and when I was in high school, and we started playing in clubs. We were playing at a club right next town over from me in North Babylon, a place called Cheers, that had national acts and everything. It was a really great place. We started playing there, and one night, two guys from a band came up to me, and they were like, "Hey, we really like your bass playing. You should come and join our band." And they were like, "You got to meet the guy we play with," and blah blah. And it was Pete Persino, Guitar Pete, from Guitar Pete's Axe Tag. And I went down and auditioned, and I started playing with them. So I was very green when I got into the band with Pete, and it was a real learning experience. Realistically, if it wasn't for Pete, I probably would have never gotten through the Ramones audition. But Pete kind of taught me how to handle myself and whatnot in the business. He had already been in the business for a while, and he kind of schooled me.
Right, right. It was kind of your mentor in a way.
Owe Pete a lot.
Wow, that's great. And citing Black Sabbath, they were the first band for me too. It was a hard call between Sabbath and Priest, because Sabbath I happened to catch on Don Kirshner's rock concert one night, and I was just sitting there watching in awe, like, what did I just see? I was blown away, had to learn more, and I think it was that at that point I became a metalhead, and then Judas Priest quickly came after that, and, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that first wave of British metal bands, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, those two bands were right behind Sabbath for me, and they were, Iron Maiden more than Priest, because Steve Harris's bass playing is just unbelievable.
Yes.
So I, of course, became a huge Iron Maiden fan. But all that stuff, the Scorpions and Y&T and Saxon, I got into all of that stuff. I really got into all of it.
Oh yeah, we just ate it up, as much as we could get and learn about. Yeah. Back then, no internet, so you just.
And, before we're talking about album covers and artwork, I went into a record store and I picked up Iron Maiden, the album, and I just looked at the cover and I was like, I'm buying it, and that's how I got turned on to Iron Maiden. I bought it for the album cover.
Wow.
I even knew Maiden or liked Maiden at the time. I saw that album cover and I was like, I gotta have it.
Absolutely. My first experience with Maiden was Judas Priest was point of entry tour at the Palladium, and Maiden was supporting. I didn't know Iron Maiden at all. No clue.
Yeah.
And they came out on stage and just were incredible. And then the Big Eddie comes out on stage, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What is this? And I immediately went out and bought the debut album. I bought Killers. Just incredible. I barely knew Judas Priest at the time, but I went to the concert.
First time I saw Priest, I think I want to say they were maybe on British Steel.
Wow.
And they were warming up for Kiss.
Nice.
And they
That's
played
awesome.
at Nassau Coliseum.
Wow.
And Priest completely smoked Kiss. Like blew them away. And my buddies who went were all huge Kiss fans. I always liked Kiss. I like some of their songs, but I was never like fanatical, But after that, I was like, oh my God. I went out and bought up every Priest album I could find.
Oh, I believe it. And it's funny you brought up the Coliseum.
Sad Wings of Destiny.
That's my favorite Priest album, Sad Wings. Absolutely. And I just saw Priest the other night at Nassau last St. Patrick's Day. They played on their current tour for Firepower. And I wish we had tickets for the Prudential Center as well, because that was the night that Glenn came out on stage and did the encores, which was pretty incredible. Yeah, he didn't come out at Nassau. I was really hoping, but it didn't happen. But Nassau is a great venue, and this new one, I hadn't been in the new one yet.
I have not.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. Always enjoy going out to a live concert, whether it's a live concert or a show.
One of my favorite concerts of all time was Priest and the Beast. Judas Priest and Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden was on Number of the Beast, and Priest was on what's the good gosh golly?
Was it Screamin'? No, was it the Screamin'?
It was the big breakthrough record.
Screamin' tour?
With which one?
Screamin' for Vengeance tour?
Yeah, that's it.
Right? Yeah. I was there.
That was like unbelievable. The only show I saw that I would say I really think it was kind of like next level was I saw Black and Blue. Royce called Black Sabbath.
Oh, you saw that? I have the vinyl of that concert, but I never saw it live. Oh.
Those two concerts, though, as far as like live music goes, for me, are like those are my golden moments from my teenage years. It was when I was at my most youngest, like most easily influenced, musically mindset, and those two shows were just so unbelievably overwhelming to watch live.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm a Ozzy Sabbath guy, totally, but I always loved Dio.
Yes.
Even before he was in Black Sabbath, always loved Dio. So when they came out with the Heaven and Hell record, I was like, oh my God. And suddenly, like, Tony Iommi was always a great, always played great riffs and always did cool rhythms, but he was never a crushing lead player,
Right.
But suddenly, on that record, on Heaven and Hell, it's like, who's this guy? He just, all of a sudden, it was like he just really, I guess he kind of realized like he needed to go to another place with his playing, and he was just unbelievable. His guitar playing on that record is just so far, he's like a different player. But seeing that live with Dio and of course I just sat and watched Geezer Butler the entire time.
Oh, absolutely. Geezer Butler, I had the honor of meeting him at NAMM. It was well worth the 2-hour wait online.
Yeah, I'm sure. I am. The guy is like, he's remembered for stuff that he did in the 60s. You know what I mean? But what's first Black Sabbath album is 69? 68?
I think so. Or is it 71? I should know this.
I think it's like 68 or 69, the Black Sabbath record. But it's like that. He's been around the business for that many
Right.
for so long, and still, to me anyway, he really wrote the book on playing metal for bass players. He is, to me, he's the guy that all metal bass players kind of trace their roots back to.
Right, sure, absolutely. He's definitely a huge influence on so many musicians, for sure. I mean, the godfathers of metal, and for you to kind of, start your career, in a metal band with Guitar Pete's Axe Attack.
And the funny thing is I loved punk, but there were no punk bands. There was no punk on Long Island. There were no punk bands.
Right.
You know what I mean? There were no punk bands. You played metal or you didn't play, pretty much. And especially in Deer Park. Deer Park was the kind of town, like, if you didn't listen to Manowar, you were a pussy.
Yeah.
That's how Deer Park was. Excuse me. But yeah, so, I love the Ramones, I love the Clash, the Sex Pistols. Realistically, for English bands, like the Damned were my favorite. I really love the Damned. I mean, I know Sex Pistols and the Clash that, are probably more well known. But to me, the Damned were really, I don't know, I just like them. I like their style better, I guess. But, there were no punk bands. Nobody was playing punk on Long Island. There were no punk clubs. There was nothing like that.
No, that was really just Manhattan, and underground as punk kind of was back then, But Long Island was a different story. Again, I wasn't familiar with how Long Island was back then.
Right.
But, once I got to college, yes, that's when I started to visit people out there and go to places and, kind of seeing what the scene was like. Because, we didn't have punk here in Westchester County either. It was all metal or hard rock. That we're playing out at the clubs,
Yep.
So how did it come to be that you ended up joining the Ramones? I want to get into that backstory when you came on board in 1989, replacing Dee Dee Ramone.
So I was, I was always kind of realistic about playing music. I always figured, by the time I'm 21, I'm not making a living doing it. I'm going to have to start considering something else. So right out of high school, I worked at Republic Fairchild. It's an aircraft factory that was one town over from us. My dad worked there. He got me in there. And I was there for about a year, and they shut the factory down. And what happened was all of Long Island, the entire economy was based on the aerospace industry. We had Grumman, AIL, Republic Fairchild, Raytheon. We had all these government contractors. And what happened was they all closed down at once. So not only did the biggest employers leave, but all the little shops that subcontracted from them, all the machine shops and places like that, they all closed down too. So the economy on Long Island really just took a dive hard. And, there were no jobs. I ended up landscaping. I was never good in school. There was no way I was going to college. My mom and dad told me when I was a kid, they were like, you're not going to college. Learn how to use your back. So that wasn't an option for me. So I ended up working landscaping, and I woke up one morning, I was 21 years old, and I was like, there's no way this is going to be my life. I was like, there's no way. There's no way. I want to get out of here. And he was like, all right, sit down. So did the paperwork, took the ASFAB. 2 months later, I think, I reported in and got on a plane down to South Carolina, went to Paris Island,
Wow.
became a Marine.
Wow. Much respect. That's pretty commendable.
They were, my dad and two of his brothers were all military.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
It was kind of like kind of an easy choice. It was really the only place that I was going to go and actually get to see anything or do anything. So went to the Marine Corps and I guess it's almost 2 years later. I was home and still in the Marine Corps. I was home and a friend of mine called me up and was like, "Hey, the Ramones are auditioning bass players tonight." My buddy Frank Saidi, he was playing drums for Mickey Lee in a band called Stop. It was one of Mickey's solo projects. And I was like, "Yeah, so I'm in the Marines," and I was like, "Wait a second, I'm gonna go down and meet the Ramones." So I grabbed my bass, I threw it in my truck, I drove into Manhattan, and I'm a Marine, so I'm there early. I get there before anybody's there, and I go in, I meet Monty Melnick. He takes me in, introduces me to Johnny and Mark, and I walked over and said, "Hey, Johnny, huge fan, honored to meet you." He was like, "What songs you know?" I was like, "I Want to Be Sedated." Played Sedated twice, I think. Asked me a couple of questions, and then we were playing it again, and Joey walked in. And as soon as we were done, I put my bass down, I walked over, shook Joey's hand, said, "Yeah, I'm Frank Saidi's buddy." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, okay." He's like, "Oh, how'd it go?" I said, "Good, I hope." So that was it. I left. Went home, called everybody I knew. I just jammed at the Ramones.
Hell yeah.
It's kind of a bizarre thing, but yeah, went out that night, had drinks, laughing, talking, and the next morning, my mom's like, "Monty Melnick's on the phone." So I was like, "I leave something at the studio?" Like that's how little. I had no expectation for getting the gig. I assumed I left something at the studio. So I call up, I go, "Yeah, Monty, this is Chris Ward." And he goes, "All right, so we'll learn a couple of more songs." And I go, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Learn a few more songs. Pick a couple songs that you like, some songs from the live set, and come back on Monday." And I was like, "Okay."
Wow.
Well, the auditions went on for about 6 weeks. At which point I became a deserter from the Marine Corps.
I bet. That's, yeah.
So what ended up happening was I started to realize I was going to get the gig. So I called back to base and I said, "Yeah, my name's Ward, private. I've been gone for a while, blah, blah." Guy's like, "All right, give me your phone number, I'll call you back, let me pull your file." And I knew what that meant. 15 minutes later, Suffolk County's finest at the door.
Oh, no.
Put me in cuffs, put me in the back of the squad car. They
Oh, my
drive me over
God.
to the first precinct. Spent the night there in the morning. Bounty hunter picked me up, took me to Fort Hamilton in Brooklyn. Spent an afternoon there, washing vans. 2 Marines picked me up, took me to the Naval Brig in Philadelphia. Spent the night there, and then the next day, 2 Marines picked me up and took me down to Quantico, Virginia. And they load us out of the van. We go in, we get sitting in the common area watching TV, and the corporal on duty comes out, and he's like, "Hey, Ward, you got a phone call." I was like, "Oh, it's my mother. She's going to be crying." I pick up the phone. "Chris?" "Yeah." "It's Johnny Ramone." I was like,
Whoa.
I go, "Johnny, listen, I'm really sorry, man. I should have told you guys what was going on." I said, but I just never expected it to go as far as it did. He said, "Well, what are they saying?" I said, "Well, I'm going to be here probably a month or so, and then they're going to process me out and give me a discharge." And he said, "All right, we'll do your time, and when you get out, you got a job."
Wow. How cool is that? I mean, what a story, CJ.
It was cool, but it was sketchy.
Yeah,
It was sketchy. I mean, it could have worked out in a much, much different way. I could have really had some problems because of it. And as great as being in the Ramones was, and how much I enjoyed it, and how thankful I am for it, till the day I die, it'll bother me the way that I left the Marines. I really have like a hard time even saying that I was a Marine, because I didn't finish out my contract, and the way I left was not good. It really was not good. But the thing about it, in my mind, is I was obviously meant to do music in my lifetime.
Yes.
I always knew it. I always knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen from when I first started playing. And if I had just waited that little bit extra time, that Ramones audition would have come up. But, I was just worried that I was never going to get off of Long Island, that I was going to end up living and dying, working a shitty job for my entire life. And that's why I did it. And and in all honesty, I love the Marine Corps. If I had never been in the Marines, I probably would have not lasted in the Ramones, because Johnny ran a really tight ship.
Oh, did he?
And
okay.
before I was in the Marines, I had no discipline at all. I would have gotten to the Ramones and just partied and been stupid and acted like an idiot, and I would have ended up getting kicked out. Well, who knows? I might not have even had the balls to go to the audition. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, somehow things worked out the way they were supposed to, I guess, and I ended up playing with one of my favorite bands of all time, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band, and seeing the world and girls and drinks, and I never got into drugs, so I can't say drugs, but I did, I lived every musician's dream.
Oh, absolutely. And
I continue to.
Yes, and you continue
52
to.
years old, and I'm still out on the road. I'm still doing shows. I'm still loving it and enjoying the heck out of it.
Hell yeah, that's what you love. That's what you're meant to do. It's your passion. And I'm a true believer in things happen for a reason. And, yes, at the time, enlisting seemed to be a good thing for you, and that's what you wanted to do. It got you off the Long Island. It got you out of your present situation, a way to follow in your father's footsteps in a way. And, but this opportunity, these things come once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
And you knew you had to grab it and go for it.
That's exactly it. It really.
I mean, it's the Ramones. You can't, yeah.
The only thing. Right. This is a crazy thing. This is a really. That's a really intense story, right?
Oh, completely.
But and I'm not trying to one up everything I say, but this is how crazy my life is with luck. Good luck, bad luck, good luck, bad luck. After the Ramones retired in '96, I started a family right away. November '97, my son was born. Early mid '99, he got diagnosed
Oh, wow. Okay. That's hard. That's hard for family.
Just a little while after he got diagnosed with autism, I get a phone call from Johnny Ramone. Johnny, I never got paid a lot when I was in the Ramones. I didn't make a lot of money at all. I mean, I started at $350 a week. I never made more than $700.
Wow, okay.
Johnny always kind of felt bad about that. After the band retired and I had to go back to work, I think Johnny kind of felt bad about it. So I get a phone call from Johnny. He's like, CJ, I have some good news. I was like, what's up? He's like, I just got off the phone with Kirk Hammett. They want you to play bass for Metallica.
What?
And I was like, what? He said, no, they haven't announced it to the public yet. Jason Newsted gave his notice. They saw you play on Lollapalooza. It's not an audition. They want you to play bass for them. They just want you to go out to California and jam with them. They want to make sure you can handle playing it. I didn't want to tell them I could play any song all the way up to And Justice for All.
Wow.
But I was like, Johnny, I can't do it. And he was like, what? I was like, listen, my son was diagnosed with autism. I don't even know what that means yet, and I can't do it. I can't. There's no way I can do it. And he was like, listen, take a second and think about what you're saying. He's like, you'll be able to afford the best doctors, therapy, whatever it takes. He's like, really think about what you're saying. And I said to him, John, listen, I have to be here. I can't leave. There's no way I can. He got really mad. And Johnny was kind of like my father figure. Me and Joey were friends, like regular friends, like, go to shows together, hang out, go to dinner together, hang out, and, listen to music together or whatever. Johnny was more like my father mentor figure.
Okay.
So I said, he got really upset and he started getting loud. I said, John, I'll tell you what, let me call my son's doctor. I'll go meet with my son's doctor. I'll explain it to him and I'll get back to you. And he's like, CJ, do the right thing. Be smart. Be smart. So I went to see my son's doctor and I explained the whole situation. And I said, here's the deal. I have an offer to go play bass for a band called Metallica. I'll be financially secure. I'll be able to have my own tour bus if I want to. I can hire a full-time therapist, help, hang out with my son. And so the doctor listened, and he was, he said, listen, it's not lost on me who Metallica is. He said, but if you want to get, he said, when your son was diagnosed, he said you just wanted to know what the best thing to do was to give him his best shot. He said, and that is, he needs to wake up at the same time every day, take his bath at the same time, eat his breakfast. He needs to go to school, come home after school, have his dinner, do his therapies and stuff, and he needs to go to bed, and he needs you to be there with him as much as you can if you want him to have the best shot at being who he can be. I said, okay. So I called Johnny up, and I said, John, listen, tell the guys I'm, unbelievably flattered. I said to him, I know you know how much I like Metallica. I said, but I can't do it. There's no way I can do it. And he was like, you are fucking crazy. He's like, you're crazy. He's like, I can't believe you would turn this down. And I told him, it's not up to me, John. It's not up to me. About a month later, he calls me back. And he's like, CJ, there's nobody even on their radar right now. They want you. Just go out there. Go meet them. Go sit down and talk to them. Listen to what they got to say. And I said, John, listen, you're killing me. I would love to. It's not for lack of wanting to, but I can't leave my kid. to him. I said, I can't do it. I was like, you got to stop. He was really mad. But yeah. So
wow.
I passed him. I passed on the gig. But here's the thing. My son now is about to get his AA in college, culinary arts. He just put his first trilogy of books up on Amazon. He was an overachiever in high school. He was on the honor roll every marking period, several times on the principal's list. He was the number 3 runner on the cross country team. He's unbelievably gifted.
That's
really
wonderful.
Super good kid. And I'm not saying that's because I turned down Metallica, but if I was not at home as often as I was, I don't think he would have had the shot at being as good a shot at being who he is now.
That is an incredible story, CJ. Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, I am just in awe. Your selflessness, you knew it was something that you had to do. And
but the thing
how
is,
wonderful.
I had already seen the world. I already played with one of the bands that I loved.
Right.
The crazy thing about it is that when Cliff Burton died, I tried every trick in the book to try to get an audition. I tried every trick in the book. I was ready to just jump on a plane and fly out to California and go up to Hetfield's door and knock on his door and be like, I'm your bass player. Like I wanted to get in the band so bad, and it's just funny that years later I get the opportunity to do it. I turn it down. But
wow, it's strange how life works.
I said, I'm not telling the story because I want people to think, wow, what a great guy or anything like that. It's just there are so many people out there with autistic children now. It's so prevalent in the just in general in the world. The population is so big that whenever I get a chance to talk publicly, I always mention that story because I've done advocacy for other parents, and I've tried to help other families as often as I can. And I tell that story because I just want them to understand what real commitment is to your kids. If you're really committed to your autistic child, you do whatever it takes to give them the best shot that they're going to have at the best life that they can have. Like to that degree, you have to be willing to really put everything else aside and take care of your child. And I would hope that that people even without autistic kids would think that way. But the autistic population, we're kind of we're different. We deal with a lot of different problems and a lot of sometimes we deal with a lot of negativity, and so if I can help inspire some other parents of autistic kids to kind of hear that story and they're like, I can relate. That's why I put that story out there as often as I can. That part of the population, I want them to know, like, hey, I'm over here. I got the same experience you have. I'm no different than you, and this is what I did to make sure that my kid had a good shot. So hopefully there's some people out there that can relate to that.
That is incredible, and how wonderful how your son has turned out. What is your son's name, CJ?
His name is Liam Ward, W-A-R-D.
Liam Ward. I mean, that's just fantastic. So he's probably, let's see, about...
He's 20 years old.
20 years old now. Okay. And yeah, you knew family first, I mean, yep. Yes, it was Metallica, and yes, you get these big eyes like, holy crap, but family first, that's your heart, yep. That's your soul.
Yep, absolutely.
And you knew what you had to do.
Like in general now, things seem to be really mixed up. There's just a lot of weird stuff going a good long while, I was a single dad. It was just me and my two oldest ones, and I went back to working a regular job, and I went right back to work without a problem. I never bitched and moaned about it. I got up and did everything I had to do every day because my kids were dependent on me, you know. But you don't hear too many positive messages about that type of stuff anymore. You know what I mean?
No, it's really refreshing.
Kind of living in like a you know, do what's best for you, or you know, look for the quick fix, or everything is disposable, and you know, so I'd like to offer up an alternative message. I'd like to offer up something that I know works good from, you know, from my own experience. And, you know, as far as I can tell, you know, my kids are doing as well as they have because I've always been there for them. You know, and I was smart enough to understand and to recognize, and I don't claim to be a smart guy, but I had that instinct, and I knew that the only way my kids were going to have a good shot is if I stayed involved and attentive.
You were a presence in their life, exactly. Yep. You know, and I don't want to say it was a hard decision for you to make, because ultimately it wasn't, because you knew what you had to do.
Like I told you.
And you shouldn't have any regrets about it.
Be home, and that was it. I never suffered over it. I didn't wring my hands, and even to this day, I don't sit around wondering what would have happened if I was in Metallica, mostly because I know.
Right.
What would have happened if I was in Metallica? I can look at the kid that's playing for them. He got $1 million when he signed the contract, and they put him in the Hall of Fame just a little while after he was in the band. But none of that, the money and the whole thing, it does not measure up to watching my son do the things that he does.
Right, exactly. That is much more rich than any amount of money they could put in front of you.
My son is a published author before I've been working on the book for years. He just put a trilogy out.
Wow, what is the trilogy about?
Right now, too.
What is the trilogy about?
He does historic fiction.
Oh, wow. Very interesting.
So like if you're into like Vikings or any of those, you know, types of shows like that, that's his thing.
Very, very cool. That, you know, it is. It's really an amazing story. We're getting a lot of comments in the chat room. Wanted to quickly give a shout out to everybody in here. We have Paul Panic and Corey Rocks and Ian Black and Vic Grabowski. We have George Neal hanging out, Tammy, Lori, and some anonymous users. And people are just really loving the conversation here. I just wanted to read a couple of comments here. Intense stories, amazing stories. You know, people can relate to this in chat. Vic has a niece who has autism, and she has since become a teacher for autistic kids. He's so proud of her. You know, it's just...
That's like what I'm telling you. I mean, the population of autistic people in general in our country now is so big. Like anybody you meet is connected to autism somehow. Anybody you meet, I challenge you to ask anybody you know. Just mention autism, and they'll say, "Oh, my friend's daughter has it," or "Oh, my niece has it." Everybody knows somebody with autism, and that's why, like I said, that's why I try to make it something that I bring up on every interview I do.
Sure, absolutely. My cousin Tammy in California, my cousin-in-law, she said, CJ, my best friend growing up, was a huge fan. He turned me on to your music. He was the front man for Nip Drivers, 80s punk band from Southern California. And he's since passed away. His name was Mike Weber.
Okay.
So very cool.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. You know, and yeah, so we're getting a lot of good, warm responses here in the chat room, which is awesome. You know,
and I got to tell you, I actually got called on the Metallica thing one time. I got a message from a gal who was involved with like an online metal magazine or something, kind of challenging challenged me on the dates and stuff. And I told her, I said, hey, you know, I'm giving you dates from my memory. I said, if they're not exact, they're not exact. I said, but I'm sure you could check my story just about anywhere. And for me to be out, you know, putting it out in public, it's easy for any, you know, to get called on it, you know, by anybody. But that is honest, and I have no reason to make a story like that
exactly.
But that is God's honest truth. That, you know, that you know, twice I got the phone call, and like I said, wouldn't change a thing. Would not change a thing. And in all of this, I can't forget to mention, I got remarried too, and my wife Denise, I mean, without her, a lot of what happened would not have happened, because as you can imagine, as a single dad doing, you know, taking care of an autistic son and then trying to make sure that my daughter didn't lose out on attention and stuff, it was super duper stressful. But my wife now just came in and kind of really just helped me keep it together and was so instrumental in my kids doing as well as they have. Because, I mean, my thing always with dealing with people when I have to go to meetings and everything was, you know, a little bit of fear and intimidation. That's the only way I knew how to handle things. But my wife was an attorney, so she came in and instead of using the hammer, used the feather, and we made sure my son got all the things that he should get, and the education he got. A lot of it has to do with my wife's ability to kind of keep everybody honest, you know, through legal means. And yeah, so a lot of players in the puzzle. I did not shoulder the burden myself. I had my mom and dad and my three sisters and my wife, and I had a lot of people helping me out. But of course, you know, it's my kids, you know, so I have to lead the charge. But it's, you know, that's what I tell all parents that I meet who have autistic kids. I'm like, the first thing you got to remember is you have to take care of each other first, because if you don't have a good partner with you, it can be really hard. It can be really, really hard. So,
absolutely. Well, kudos to Denise. She sounds like a wonderful woman. And again, things happen for a reason. You know, you got divorced and remarried, and you know, you met Denise. And
any woman who could put up with me for, I think we've married 12 years now, should be sainted.
Very funny. Well, what I would like to do, CJ, is take a break here, and I want to play a couple of more tracks from American Beauty.
Cool.
And let's see, what should we play? Earlier today we played Let's Go and Girlfriend in a Graveyard.
So I got one track on there. It's called Moral to the Story. I wrote the song for three different friends of mine who all died pretty young. Yeah, I kind of wrote it. You know, I wrote it for the three of them, just to kind of keep their memory alive. You know, the song is really about, you know, talking about your friends and you know, your friends that have passed, and you know, keeping their memory alive, keeping them alive by keeping their memory alive. And that one's close to my heart, so that's a good one to play.
Absolutely. And you know, you have dealt with a lot of loss over the years, for sure. You know, just within the Ramones and, you know, personal. So that's great. Definitely looking forward to playing this track for everybody. And I also would like to play, let's see, how about Run Around?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. All right. We'll play Run Around after that. And very cool. All right, everybody. We are hanging out live today with CJ Ramone. And I'm going to play a couple of more tracks from his album American Beauty that was released 1 year ago in March of 2017. And we're first going to hear Moral to the Story and then Run Around. And we're hanging out, Metal Euphoria, SonicAsylumRadio.com. All right, you are locked into Sonic Asylum Radio. This is Metal Euphoria, and I'm Metal Maiden Vicki, and we are live today with CJ Ramone. And we just heard a couple of more tracks from his latest release called American Beauty, and we played Moral to the Story and Runaround. Two more fantastic tracks off of an incredible album. You should be so proud of this album, CJ. It really is a testament to your career thus far.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Just every track just gets you moving. And, you know, when you joined the Ramones back in 1989, you brought to the band a young, fresh feel to the band. And you continue to do that today, you know, keeping the Ramones sound fresh and exciting, but in a new, modern way. And I think that's just fantastic.
Yeah, it's... you know, my live shows, I play, you know, mostly my stuff, but I still do a good amount of Ramone stuff in that too. And it's, you know, I think I'll always play Ramone songs in my set. You know, I still love them. It's still fun. It's got the, you know, the classic sound, and the guys, you know, the difference between how I play it and how the Ramones played it. You know, the Ramones always just try to play everything super fast live, right? The tempos live were so quick. The melody was gone for most of the songs. There was no room for, like, harmonies or backup vocals or nothing.
Right.
So what I did when I came back and started playing music again, I wanted to play them like they sound on the record. A little bit faster than the record, but I wanted the harmonies and all the nice little guitar parts and stuff, so that's how I do it live, and I get a lot of compliments from the Ramones fans. They're like, oh man, it sounds so good like that. So
exactly,
you know,
one of my favorite.
I still look at the Ramones stuff from a fan's point of view. You know?
Sure.
So I think a lot of the fans can relate to the reason why I'm doing it that way.
And if you just want to go over who is in the band with you.
So my the band that I recorded with was Steve Soto and Dan Root from The Adolescents, and Pete Sosa from Street Dogs. But my touring band is actually a bunch of different guys. My main guy in the band is actually only 21 years old. His name's Nate Sander. He joined up with me right out of high school. He's like one of those musical freaks who can play any instrument, like has perfect pitch. He's really an incredible player. But right out of high school came out on tour with me. He plays all the guitar solos and whatnot. On the other side of the stage, I got Josh Blackway plays with a band. Actually, I think they bill themselves out of Baltimore, but a great band called the Huntingtons. They've been around. They're considered one of the Ramones core bands. They've been around since the late '90s, I think. And then on drums, I have Pete Sosa from the Street Dogs. Pete's just a really incredible drummer. Even for a guy as young as he is, he plays like an old man, which is a skill. But yeah, so that's the recording band and then the touring band.
Very cool. Well, I'm hoping that you guys do some shows in the tri-state area soon. I would love to come out and just experience the energy of seeing you perform live. You know.
Yeah, it's a party.
I can imagine. You know?
That's how we try to make it fun. You know. Good time, good party, and that's it. And that's all we're looking to do. We're just looking to have fun. You know, there's a lot of bands you can go out there and it's real serious and real dark and everything else, but we try to be the flip side of that.
Right, exactly. And you know, we were talking off the air. I've only had the chance to see the Ramones live once, and that was back in the 90s at that Lollapalooza tour that you were referencing earlier in the conversation with Metallica, Soundgarden. You know, and you guys played, and what a day that was. I mean, it was one of those long festivals, Lollapalooza. I remember it was extremely hot that day, too. And Randall's Island is all concrete. So,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it was...
That was a brutal one.
Yeah, it was very brutal. And I had been drinking all day. And I remember when you guys came on, I was just like, the Ramones. And I remember, we were sitting up on those concrete, almost like Coliseum seating in a way, like old Roman Coliseum seating. And we went down, down to the front and just had a blast. I mean, it was so much fun, you just dancing and, so that was the only time I ever got to experience the Ramones live. I know a lot of my friends had the chance to see the Ramones, at CB's over the years and, other venues, just, a lot of huge fans, longtime admirers of the band. I mean, pioneers in the punk rock genre of music, without a doubt, and it's incredible to have been a part of that. I can only imagine.
I mean, the only way, this is the best way I can explain. Anybody that I met all through that time period, right? So on that tour alone, we had, you had Metallica, you had Rancid, you had Soundgarden, right? Those are probably three of the biggest bands in the music industry at the time, right? So I did the entire tour on a rigid Harley that I had built. I didn't travel with the band. So I stayed in campgrounds overnight, and I was, I would ride to the next thing. The problem was that Metallica was going to do a U.S. tour just after that, so we couldn't play the A markets. We were playing like B and C markets, which means we were kind of out in the middle of nowhere a lot of times. It also meant that I would drive sometimes for 300-400 miles overnight. But I would ride up to the site for each one of the shows, and each band had its own trailer for a dressing room. And every time I would pull up in front of our trailer, be Johnny and Joey sitting outside with Tim and Lars from Rancid, and Chris and Kim and Ben from Soundgarden, and Kirk Hammett, hanging out too. It was like all the biggest bands, and they were all, it was like Johnny and Joey holding court. And these guys, they looked like little kids. They were in the biggest bands of the 90s, but they looked like a bunch of kids hanging out with Johnny and Joey,
Right,
and
right.
It was cool to hear from those guys, like, that they would, how the Ramones influenced them and everything else. And realistically, it means nothing to me. I wasn't in the band. I was more a peer of Chris and Ben and Lars and Kirk. Like, I was more in their age group. Like, I was closer with them than I was with Johnny and Joey, So I totally understood how they felt when they were, hanging out with them.
Right, was, absolutely.
That's just testament to, like, the Ramones' influence on music in general, from metal to punk, even to new wave. And,
sure.
And pop.
Without a doubt. People of all age groups and, music genres can enjoy what the Ramones, did for so many years. Lori made a comment in the chat room, fresh dancing, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm off banging. Ian Black says the Ramones songs were way faster live than on record. A Ramones gig was a sonic assault on the senses. Very cool.
It's funny. The Ramones and Motorhead are two of the like metal punk crossover bands that everyone liked. Like, it was okay if you were into hardcore or punk to like the Ramones. It was also okay if you were into metal to like the Ramones. It was okay if you went to punk or hardcore to go to a Motorhead show, as well as the metalheads at the Motorhead show. So there weren't a whole lot of bands that could kind of cross that barrier between punk and metal, but the Ramones were one of them.
Oh, I completely agree with that. Absolutely. You know, so that's very cool, and that's very special thing to have accomplished without even heading out to accomplish that. You know,
exactly.
you know, so that's pretty incredible because yeah, it did combine the two groups. You know, like, hey, I'm hanging out listening to Slayer, but man, you know, love the Ramones. You know, and
I mean, it's kind of cool. Like I've seen like interviews with the guys from like Anthrax, you know, talking up the Ramones, and it's funny, like, or Metallica, you know, because I was such a fan of Metallica and Anthrax when I was younger, and then I got into the Ramones, and now it was like I was meeting those bands on like almost like on even ground, whereas before I would have just met them as a fan.
Right, right. And how special, you know, for you in that regard to do that. Now, I did have one question. Before you go out on stage, CJ, do you have any pre-show rituals at all?
I usually do some push-ups, and I always make the band drink some whiskey with me. We always do a shot before we go on stage.
Nice. Jack?
That's my ritual. Physical exercise and whiskey.
Sounds good to me. And Jack is your shot of choice?
Yeah, I drink Jack. Yeah. In fact, our rider is like a bag of potato chips, a bag of M&Ms, and a bottle of Jack. That's like
Nice.
That's a rider. I'm sure my doctor would love to hear that.
But hey, I'm a musician, you know. It could be worse. It could be worse. Or, you know, you could be one of those musicians that have like this totally bizarre rider with just obscure things on it, you know. So.
Hey, I mean, I've actually witnessed people from bands, and I won't want to mention any names, that refuse to go on stage unless somebody found them coke. You know, I've seen some pretty wild stuff. So, I mean, I think I think I'm pretty conservative compared to some of the things that I've seen other bands, some of their demands.
Exactly. You know, I would tend to agree with that. Now, we talked briefly, you had said when you were a kid you were into soccer, you know, before your knees and everything. So you were primarily, you considered yourself like an outdoor kid, more so than an indoor kid back then.
Totally,
right?
I was never an indoor kid.
Yeah, I can't picture you being indoor. Absolutely.
You know, I was definitely an outdoor kid. I'd leave my house on my bicycle at like 8 in the morning and come home when it was dark, you know.
Yeah, when the lamplight came on, right? When the street lights came on, that's when we had to be home. You know, it was a lot simpler back then, and you know, we weren't idiots. We didn't go out and, you know, well, we did stupid things, but we weren't idiots. You know?
Yeah,
so.
I agree. I agree. Well, you know, I didn't always do the smartest stuff, but I never got killed. So
right. Well, there you go.
I didn't die, so I didn't do anything that bad.
We got through the day without that happening, so it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Now,
a couple broken bones, some stitches, but nothing ever real bad.
And I would say that would be a typical boy, you know, in a way.
Right.
So, absolutely.
Never got a DWI.
Cool. Yeah.
Never got into any kind of like really serious car accident.
Thank goodness for that. Yeah, absolutely.
Couple of bike wrecks, but that's gonna happen when you ride.
And you said for the Lollapalooza tour, you had built that motorcycle. That's pretty incredible.
I didn't build it myself. I built it with a friend of mine. I had bought a brand new. What I did was when I first got in the Ramones, even though I was only making $350 a week, I lived on the per diems I got when I was on the road. So I saved up my paychecks, and after I got in the band in '89, in 1992, I had saved enough money to buy a brand new Harley. So I went down to the Harley dealer and I bought a Fat Boy. before, we were, I think we were in France. We flew home, and I was riding home from a friend's house with my girlfriend on the back, and a kid, I think it was prom night, a kid made a left turn in front of me with no directional, and I hit him head on.
Ooh.
And I broke my wrist, I broke my nose, I got 27 stitches in my right leg, and I got a couple stitches in my chin. I had a bad concussion. I got pretty roughed up, but I took the motor and first because the bike was a wreck. You're not allowed to buy your own wrecked vehicle back from your insurance company. So I had a friend who owned a junkyard, so he bought it off my insurance company, and I bought it off of him. I pulled the motor and tranny out of it, and I bought a rigid frame and a new front end and new everything else. And over the next couple of years, I put together a nice rigid Evo chopper, and that's what I rode on Lollapalooza.
That's very cool. Very awesome. I mean, not very cool about the accident, though. That really sucks, of course.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever got into a wreck that bad on a motorcycle. That was a bad one. I went face first off the guy's windshield. I slid right up the hood.
Ooh.
I rolled over the top of his car and off the trunk.
Wow. That's pretty frightening. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, we do have a question in the chat room from Ian. He wants to know if you have an all-time favorite Ramones track.
Track?
Yes.
It's funny, like, over the years, I've been asked that question, and it's kind of changed. Like, back in the day, I would have said, like, Warthog or Endless Vacation or something, and then, it would have been some. It's funny. It's like as the years go by, I guess as you get older, your favorite songs change. But Outsider is probably one of my favorite Ramones. So if I had to pick one, I'd say if they said we're going to play a Ramones song at your funeral, what do you want to hear? I'd probably say Outsider.
Outsider. Okay, very cool. Yep. Very cool. Now, CJ, do you have a favorite cartoon character?
Favorite cartoon character?
Yes.
New or old?
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Who you consider like one of your favorite cartoon characters?
Well, I mean, if we're talking like from when I was a kid, like what I watched when I was a kid, Astro Boy and Gigantor were like my two shows that I really loved. But like later on, like I loved Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
I totally love that, and of course the Simpsons. But if I had to pick one, cartoon over the years, like my favorite that I could still watch now would probably be Spider-Man.
Very cool. So Astro Boy, Gigantor, Spider-Man, and Ren and Stimpy. Yeah, when Ren and Stimpy came out, I mean, they were just so crude. I loved them.
To this day, like I put Ren and Stimpy up against like some of the newer cartoons that are like even like SpongeBob. Like I like SpongeBob even, but like all the ones that try to be edgy and they try to be weird and everything, they just don't compare to Ren and Stimpy. Ren and Stimpy really like was so bizarre, and how the hell did they get away with a lot of that stuff? But yeah,
yeah, exactly. Kind of like South Park when they first came out. I remember watching the first episode and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm like, Cartman is like, he's one of my favorite cartoon characters.
Yeah. That show was just, holy cow, offensive just for the sake of being offensive. But it's good. I like it.
Exactly. That's so funny. Now, people are talking about, in the chat room now, we got Beavis and Butthead and Spider-Man and Batman. And, that's one of the great things about being an adult is not losing our inner child. We always have to keep our inner child alive. Because, without that, I think we start to fade away. And, who wants that to happen?
I think when you're talking about people from the punk and metal communities, I think we all suffer from Arrested Development. I really do. I think we're all still set. We're like 17 our entire lives. Like we never music never loses its magic. You know what I mean? It's like music, cartoons, like our youth culture from when we're in our teens. It never loses its magic, and that's one thing I noticed about everybody into punk and metal. We all kind of hold on to those magical years. You know what I mean? It's kind of cool. There's a real fun thing when one of the guys that I hung out with when I was a kid, he always said to me, he said, you know, like the people that I've met from heavy metal shows and just in general, like there was a great record shop in Massapequa. I think it was called Wax Museum. I think that's what it was called. It was out here on Long Island, but he's like, just the people are like the most stand-up, like good people I ever met. He's like, they're different from the people that I meet at work. They're different from the people we went to school with. He's like, people from like the metal community. This guy was like total metalhead. Like he didn't like anything other than metal. He was like, they're the most stand-up people I ever met in my life. And I thought about what he was saying. I was like, wow, that's a pretty cool statement. That's actually, and not too far from the truth either. And that's without being, like over dramatizing or anything. Like that's really how he felt. Like the people he was closest to were the people he met in the metal community.
Right, exactly. And it's true. The metal community, the punk community, just that whole two genres of music, the fans are the most loyal, the most passionate, the most badass, help anybody out. There's nothing like the metal community, and I'm so proud and happy to be a member of that community. The
thing is what I think. There's so many things that connect you besides the music, right?
Yes.
For the most part, we all come from blue collar families. So we're all like lower middle class to middle class. We all fit right in there. Most of us all grew up in suburbia.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Most of us grew up outside the cities. That we don't. We come up outside of the cities and stuff. So most of us are like neighborhood people. So there's like some real like basic things from our backgrounds that give us something in common. And then you add music to it, you add metal to it, and that fist pumping experience of being at a metal show, and it's like instant connection.
Yes, absolutely. The vibes, I mean, just, being at the Priest concert the other night, being in a big arena with everybody there for the sole purpose of enjoying the music and the camaraderie of everybody and the vibes and the energy. And there's really nothing like it, It's an incredible experience.
Shows, Priest and the Beast and Black and Blue. Those shows but made a mark on me, like forget it, like nothing else.
Oh, absolutely.
Like nothing else.
Absolutely. Well, it really is a special thing to be a part of it all. As a fan, from the heart, I am a fan. I've been a fan since I was 14. Growing up a kid in the 70s, I was into the top 40 AM radio hits. I still love all that stuff. I am a music lover, but my heart and my passion is heavy metal, hard rock, punk music. But music is universal and it connects everybody. But the metal community is truly like no other, and we're truly blessed in that regard.
I agree. I agree.
Absolutely. Well, CJ, I have so enjoyed having you on my show today. You are incredible. Great stories. You are legendary, and you're just an all-around cool person.
Thanks a lot.
And thank you so. It's just I am just in awe of you and what you've experienced over the years. And just good things going forward. I kind of want to run down everything again now coming up, and this is going to be April 14th and the 15th, which is a Saturday and a Sunday. You are going to make an appearance at the Big Apple Comic-Con, and that will be at the Penn Plaza Pavilion, which is Pennsylvania Hotel. Yeah. So definitely head out to that. The event on Saturday is from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sunday is 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So definitely, if you're out there listening, head out. It's CJ's first appearance at a convention. So it's very exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun. And again, huge thanks to Howard Schimmel for, not only getting this interview together, but instrumental in getting you a part of the Big Apple Comic-Con. I mean, that's going to be very cool.
He's the guy to set it up.
He's the man, absolutely. And, then coming up on Saturday, May 19th, will be the Joey Ramone Birthday Bash 2018, and it will be celebrating the 40th anniversary of Road to Ruin with you and Richie Ramone and Mickey Lee, and you did... exactly, and it says now other artists to be announced. All net proceeds are going to benefit the Joey Ramone Foundation for Lymphoma Research, and the tickets for this event are going to be $40 in advance and $45 day of show. Very cool.
And the show sells out really fast, so if you're planning on going, you might want to grab your tickets now. It happens every year. It sells out really quick, so.
Absolutely.
Good luck.
Again, good luck. And again, it'll be at the Bowery Electric on Joey Ramone Place. Yeah, in the city. Very cool. And if you hear some meowing in the background, that's my my co-host has come out to say hello to you too, CJ. So,
all right.
Her name is Amber. So.
Howdy, Amber.
Very cool. And now, are there any other immediate shows coming up? I know you mentioned some things earlier. But these are the big ones coming up in April and May.
Yeah, that's those two are the most important that we wanted to put out there right now. I've got some stuff later on this year. Like I said, I'll be in Cuba. I'll be in over in Europe later on this year, but there'll be some U.S. dates announced also. Very,
very cool. Well, it's truly incredible. And if you do get some dates around here, I will do my damnedest to head out to the show. Absolutely. I want to experience the energy and the fun and just complete rocking out of a CJ Ramone show.
Yeah. All right.
Absolutely. Now, is there anything that you would like to say to the listeners and the fans that are tuned in today before we sign out of the interview, CJ?
I want to say Ramones forever.
Ramones forever. Absolutely.
And thanks a lot for having me on. I appreciate it. Had a good time.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure and honor. And if you could hang on the line after we go off the air for a moment, CJ?
Okay, no problem.
Great. And one of the things that we do here at Sonic Asylum Radio is we will get you on our band page on our Facebook site.
Okay.
Basically, it'll link people directly to your Facebook page. So very cool. We'll definitely get that going. And we'll continue to support, your music, and just thank you for keeping the punk sound alive and keeping it fresh and, keeping just doing what you do, CJ, just so thankful.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You are an incredible person, and, again, good things going forward to you, and thank you so much. And we will definitely keep in touch. And what we're going to do as we head out, I'm going to play some more Ramones for everybody. I'm going to play Strength to Endure off of Mondo Bizarro. And you're going to hear my back pages off of Acid Eaters.
All right, both good ones.
And I chose and I threw in there Outsider That's going out to you.
Great, thanks. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
That's my favorite.
And then I'm going to follow it up with a Ramones classic that we all know and love. So, yeah. So, once again, CJ, thank you so much. We will definitely keep in touch. And we are hanging out today, Metal Euphoria, SonicAsylumRadio.com, and I'll be back.